Okay, so now this is where we really get into the theoretical stuff, but it's really not that hard. I mentioned the piano before because it's such a visual way of seeing how the notes fit together. They're white keys and black keys. The white keys are all these natural notes. The black keys, however, are the ones that are called sharp or flat. And interestingly, each of those keys has two names. So I'm going to write in a new color here. I'm going to write in pink now. In between each set of notes where we left a space, there is a note that can either be called a sharp or a flat, and it is the sharp of the note before and the flat of the note after. Okay? We don't need to get into why you might call it this or that. You will discover that as you go. Your teacher will get into it in your lessons, but for now, we're just gonna identify what those are called. So I was saying it's a sharp of this or a flat of this. So that means the one in between A and B, we need to write two things, one on top and one on bottom. So this can be called A sharp, and a sharp looks like a number sign, a hashtag, a tic-tac-toe board, but you better call it a sharp in your lessons. Okay, so it can be called A sharp or B flat, and the flat sign kind of looks like a lowercase b, but it's a little pointier. So make yours look just like mine. Okay, so now there's nothing between B and C, but there's a big old space between C and D. So it's the sharp of this one and the flat of this one. So this one could be called C sharp or D flat. So make sure that yours looks like mine. All right, I bet you could start figuring some of these out. This one, D sharp, E flat. Let's fill it in. Nothing between E and F. F sharp, G flat. And then, and this is part of why we made 2 octaves of this, G sharp, A flat. Now, we did this whole first part together. So I'm going to say less, and I'm just going to do the labeling. And if you get it, you could even go faster than me. So here we go. Make sure you space everything so everything's in the little box that you made for it. Did you see me almost write a D? I was trying to talk and write at the same time. Oh no. No space here. No space here. Okay, so now you have this beautiful diagram. And let's just consider half of it for now. I'm going to fold mine up here. You can fold yours up if you like. You don't have to. So these are all 12 tones that we use in basically all music. There are some exceptions depending on where you are in the world, but for the most part, these are the options. So we are going to talk about whole steps and half steps. We're going to look at what the symbols for that look like, and then we're going to compare that to the scale measuring tape that we made. Now, there are symbols for whole and half step. Importantly, I had you fold this paper all at once because the little squares need to line up. So I'm showing you where my folds are. You don't necessarily need to do this, but if your fold lines aren't as obvious as they used to be, you might want to recrease them a little bit. And for this, I'm actually going to encourage you to use a boring color. Maybe you like black, maybe it's not boring to you, but I'm going to use black, maybe use pencil, but we want this to be really clearly defined, okay? So when we want to indicate a whole step, the marking for that looks like a little bracket, and our bracket needs to go from this rectangle in the middle to this rectangle in the middle. There's going to be an empty one in the middle. So draw this with me. On this one on the end, right in the middle, put a vertical line like so. There needs to be a little bit of space above it. Skip this square. Go to the third square and draw a line just like you drew in that other one with a little space above it. And then we are going to connect those two lines. I'll move my hand out of the way in just a minute. So if you ever look at your music and your teacher or somebody has written this between two notes, it's called a whole step. So we're going to label that over here. So in your remaining square over here, we're going to write whole step. W-H-O-L-E, step. A whole step sounds like so. All right, turn this over. So I said that there are whole steps and half steps. And for that, we are going to draw a symbol like so. We're going to use the two squares over here. We're going to start, it's going to be like a little upside down V or like the top of a triangle. And it's going to start on the fold line. And it's going to go down like so. All right, and then we're going to draw the exact mirror image of that. And notice that I went to the middle of my little rectangle here. So I'm going to do that same thing over here. Ta-da! Okay, and what did I call that? I called that a half step. H-A-L-F, step. Okay, so you know what the symbols are. So now it's time to start considering how this might apply to the actual notes.